What if I told you that the man who destroyed my marriage was sitting at my wedding, in the front row, smiling, because he was my best man? And what if I told you that the woman I thought was my soulmate had been planning to leave me since before we even got engaged? And the twist that broke the internet when I posted this: my best man, my wife. A secret they kept for 4 years. But here's what they never counted on. I'm an accountant. And accountants, we don't explode. We audit. This is the story of how I turned their perfect betrayal into their perfect destruction. And how the last laugh came from the most unexpected person in this entire story. Stay until the end. Because the final twist, I still can't believe it myself. My name is Daniel. I'm 38 years old. I live in Chicago. 3 years ago I had everything a man could want. A 6-figure job as a senior accountant at a firm downtown. A beautiful home in Lincoln Park. And 2 people I loved more than anything in this world. My wife, Megan. And my best friend since college, Brandon. Megan and I met at 26. She was a graphic designer. Funny. Smart. The kind of woman who remembered every small thing you ever mentioned and brought it up months later just to show she was listening. Brandon was my college roommate. My groomsman. The guy who gave a 20-minute speech at my wedding that made my mom cry. We had Sunday dinners together. Vacations together. Fantasy football leagues together. For 9 years I trusted these 2 people with my entire life. And for 4 of those years, they were betraying me together. But here is the part that nobody talks about when this kind of thing happens. The signs were always there. I just never wanted to see them. Brandon always offered to help Megan move furniture when I was traveling for work. I thought that was a good friend looking out for my wife. Megan would light up slightly differently when Brandon walked into a room. I thought she just appreciated him because he always made people laugh. They texted each other about planning my surprise 35th birthday. At least that is what Megan said when I accidentally saw a notification. I believed every single explanation. Because when you love someone, you see what you want to see. Until the day you cannot anymore. It was a random Wednesday in March. I came home early because I had a migraine. I did not call ahead. I just drove home, took some Advil, and went to lie down. Megan's car was in the driveway. She worked from home on Wednesdays. I walked in through the side door. Quietly. Not because I was suspicious. Just because my head was pounding and I did not want to make noise. And then I heard a voice. Brandon's voice. Coming from upstairs. I stood at the bottom of the staircase for a long time. My migraine somehow got worse. And better at the same time. Because suddenly everything was very, very clear. I walked back out the side door. Got in my car. Sat in a parking lot 2 blocks away for 45 minutes, and then I made a decision that changed everything. I was not going to react. I was going to respond. There is a massive difference. Reacting is emotional. Loud. Messy. It puts you at a disadvantage. You say things you cannot take back. You lose control of the narrative. Responding is calculated. Quiet. Strategic. You control everything. I was an accountant who specialized in forensic accounting. You know what forensic accountants do? We find money people tried to hide. We trace transactions. We build airtight cases. I was about to audit my own marriage. I drove back home 45 minutes later. Made noise coming in through the front door. Called out Megan's name like normal. She came downstairs in different clothes than she had been wearing when I left that morning. Said she had been on a work call most of the day. I said cool. Asked what she wanted for dinner. She said Chinese. I ordered Chinese. We ate dinner together. I did not sleep that night. Starting the next morning I began the most thorough investigation of my life. And I want to be clear. I did not hire anyone. I did not need to. Because I had skills most people do not. First I pulled our shared credit card statements going back 18 months. I went through every single transaction. Hotels. There were 6 of them. All on days I had been traveling for work. All within driving distance of Chicago. All charged to a card I thought Megan used for work expenses. She had told me those charges were client entertainment. I cross-referenced those dates with my own travel calendar. Every single hotel stay matched exactly with a work trip of mine. This was not casual. This was organized. Scheduled. Planned around my absence. That meant one thing. This was not a mistake or a moment of weakness. This was intentional. Ongoing. And they had a system. Second discovery. I found an email account I did not know about. Old password she had used for everything years ago still worked on an account she had forgotten I knew existed. I did not read the emails. I know that sounds strange. But I did not need to. The subject lines were enough. And honestly, I did not want those images in my head. What I did do was screenshot the inbox. Dates. Subject lines. Enough to establish a timeline. 18 months of evidence. Third discovery. And this one was the one that broke me a little, even though I was trying so hard to stay cold about all of it. A transfer. From our joint savings account. $4,200 made 7 months ago. To a travel agency. For a trip to Cabo. I had not been on a trip to Cabo. I sat with that one for a while. $4,200 of my money. Funding their vacation. I closed my laptop. Went for a run. Came back. Made coffee. And then I called my lawyer. My lawyer's name was Patricia. Sharp as anyone I had ever met. I laid everything out for her. She listened without interrupting. Then she asked me one question. She said, "Does Brandon have a wife or girlfriend?" I said yes. Brandon had been with a woman named Kayla for 2 years, they had just gotten engaged 4 months ago. Megan was going to be a bridesmaid at their wedding. Patricia nodded slowly. She said, "Does Kayla know?" I said I did not think so. Patricia looked at me and said, "That changes your options considerably." I did not understand what she meant yet. But I would. I spent the next 2 weeks getting everything in order. Legal documents. Financial records. A separate account. Everything Patricia advised. And then I did something I had not planned on doing. I reached out to Kayla. Not to blow everything up. Not yet. I just needed to know if she had any idea. I told her I needed to talk to her about something important and asked if we could meet for coffee without telling Brandon. She showed up looking nervous. I showed her the evidence. Just enough. The hotel dates that matched my travel schedule. The email account. The Cabo transfer. Kayla sat across from me in that coffee shop completely still for about 2 minutes. Then she said something I was not expecting. She said, "I already knew. I have known for 6 weeks. I was trying to figure out what to do. And then she said, "But Daniel, there is something you do not know." She reached into her bag and put a folder on the table. Inside that folder was something that rewrote the entire story I thought I was living. The folder contained documents. Financial documents. Kayla worked in banking. And when she had started suspecting Brandon, she had done what any banker with access to financial tools would do. She had looked. Brandon had a business account I did not know about. A consulting LLC he had set up 14 months ago. His biggest client a design firm. Megan's design firm. I stared at that document for a long time. Kayla explained it quietly. Brandon had essentially been running a fake consulting contract with Megan's company. The company paid his LLC for services. But the work was not real. It was a way to move money. But here is where it got truly insane. The design firm was not just Megan's employer. Megan was a silent partner. Had been for 2 years. She had never told me. So the picture was now this: Megan had a secret ownership stake in a design firm. That firm was paying Brandon's fake LLC. Brandon was funneling that money. And both of them had been doing this for over a year. This was not just an affair. This was financial fraud. And some of the money in that LLC traced back to our joint account. Megan had made several transfers that I had seen, but she had explained as freelance project expenses. I had unknowingly funded part of this scheme. I sat back in my chair. Kayla looked at me across the table and said, "I do not think this was ever just about them falling for each other. I think you and I were both being managed." That word hit different. Managed. Like variables in someone else's plan. I drove home that night and I was completely calm. Not the numb kind of calm. The clear kind, the kind where you know exactly what comes next and you are not afraid of any of it. Patricia moved fast once I gave her Kayla's documents. Between the two of us we had enough for a civil fraud case on top of the divorce. I filed for divorce first. Megan was served on a Tuesday morning while she was on a video call with a client. I know because she called me screaming 20 minutes later. I let it go to voicemail. Brandon found out an hour later. He called me too. Said he was sorry. Said it had gotten out of hand. Said he never meant for it to go this far. I let that one go to voicemail too. 2 days later Patricia sent a letter to Megan's design firm flagging the financial irregularities. With documentation. The firm launched an internal investigation. Megan's silent partnership was discovered. Her role in the firm became very complicated very quickly. Brandon's LLC was flagged to the IRS. The fake consulting income he had been reporting had tax implications he was not prepared for. Kayla ended her engagement. Publicly. On the same weekend Brandon and Megan had apparently planned to come clean to everyone and announce their relationship. Instead of being the couple that finally got to be together publicly, they became the couple everyone in our social circle was talking about for completely different reasons. No dramatic confrontation from me. No yelling. No social media posts. Just paperwork. Perfectly filed. Perfectly timed. Completely devastating. I need to tell you about the final twist. Because this is the part I genuinely did not see coming. 8 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Megan's mother. Carol. Carol and I had always gotten along. She was warm. Genuine. Nothing like the situation her daughter had put me in. She asked if she could meet me for lunch. Said it had nothing to do with Megan. Said she just wanted to talk. I agreed. We met at a small Italian place near my office. Carol sat down. Ordered water. And then she slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a check. For 31,000. I looked up at her confused. She said, I have known my daughter her whole life. I know what she is capable of and I know what she did to you was wrong in every possible way. This is not from her. This is from me. It is not close to what you lost. But I need you to know that someone in that family sees what happened clearly. I tried to give it back. She would not take it. She said one more thing before she left. She said, you were the best thing that ever happened to her. And she will spend the rest of her life knowing that. I sat in that restaurant alone for a long time after she left. Not because I was sad. But because after everything, the cruelest, most unexpected part of this entire story was that the most decent person connected to Megan, was Megan's mom. I donated 10,000 of that money to a financial literacy nonprofit. Used the rest to take myself to Japan for 2 weeks. Somewhere over the Pacific I realized I was not angry anymore. Not because I had forgiven them. But because I was free. And they were still stuck inside the mess they made. That is the thing about revenge that nobody tells you. You do not need to watch it land. You just need to do it right. And then go live your life so well, that the story stops being about them entirely. So that is Daniel's story. The best friend. The wife. The fake business. The banker who knew. And the mother who showed up with an envelope. What would you have done differently? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this story kept you company today, hit that subscribe button because these drop every single week. And next week, a woman discovers her husband has been living a second life in another city for 6 years. Complete with a second family. And the way she finds out, is by accidentally video calling the wrong number. See you then.